Okay, welcome to this first video for an introduction to R. And I'm excited to go through these things and a little sneak peek at what we're going to be going through. We're going to be talking about these questions. What is R and RStudio? How do I install them? How do I use them? And how can I get started with my own project? So hopefully these are some pretty generic questions that people ask. And some things that people are wondering, and so I'm starting at the very basic level. So let's jump into it and talk about what is R and RStudio. So the background and resources to learn more about R. This first link is the R project online. If you really want to know all about R, I would suggest going to that URL and reading about it. But a quick high-level description is that it's an open source project, meaning a lot of different people contribute to it. Secondly, it's a statistical computing and data analysis tool and language. Originally, it was created pretty much just for statistical analysis, and since its inception, it's been really expanded to do a lot more things than just statistical analysis. So go down here, functional. It's a functional language and not an object-oriented language. Now, if you don't have any prior programming experience, that might not mean anything to you. If you do have prior programming experience, then what this means, it's a functional language, meaning it is based more off of actions than it is actual objects that you carry around. And you can look up more about that if you'd like. It's pretty interesting. And lastly, it's extensible, meaning there are certain packages, and we'll talk about packages later, that you can use to extend the core competencies of R. And so, like I said earlier, it is originally created as a statistical programming language, but because it's extensible, a lot of those features have been extended, and that you can do a lot more with it now than you could previously. So let's talk about how to get started with R and how to download it and get it. So here I've included the Windows option and the Mac option. You have to go to two different places for this. So I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to go ahead and go to this page. So I know it's a lot of things that are here, but you want this right here. I am not going to click it because I already have it downloaded. The installation process is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Just go through the process, and you can pause the video here if you want to go ahead and do that before you continue on to the next thing. What I'm going to be talking about next is doing that with Windows, just kind of showing you the same thing. So here you have it for Windows. And this is what you want to click. Download R 3.3.2 for Windows. Now obviously I'm not going to click it. I already have R and I don't have Windows, so yeah, go ahead and go through that installation process. If you don't have it installed right now, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and catch up with me when you are done doing that. Okay, so now we're going to install RStudio, and you might be thinking, okay, why we're using RStudio? Can't we just use R? Well, RStudio is the IDE. It's the integrated development environment for R. R can be done from the command line or from the terminal, depending on the terminology for your operating system. But I have found that RStudio is by far one of the greatest tools to get you up and running with R quickly, so you can visually see what R has to offer, and you can leverage those things in a really, really organized way. I know some people who do use R just from the command prompt, and it's doable, but as a beginner I wouldn't advise that. So again, we are going to go to this link. We're going to download RStudio. So as you can see, there's a lot of different versions that you can choose, but what we want to do is just use this RStudio desktop, the open source, free. I love that word, free. So just go ahead and click download. Again, I'm not going to download. I already have it. The installation process should be fairly straightforward. So if you want to pause the video and do that, then go ahead and catch up with me when you're done with that. Okay, so now let's talk about RStudio itself. Now I have opened up RStudio just right here. This is what it looks like. You may, when you open it for your first time, you may see just this. If you want to get that other window open, which I advise, just click New File up here, RScript, and it'll open up this other pane, this window. So now this is what you're going to be really developing on for most of the time. And let's go ahead, I'm just going to reorganize this a little bit. Alright, so what we have here, the core components, the console, the workspace, the helper pane 1, and the helper pane 2. So I'll go ahead and show you where those are. This down here is the console. Now it's easy to notice because it says console right there. Now this top left area, this is the workspace, and they call it a workspace because this is where you'd write an R script, and you'd write down code that you can reuse over and over again. If you write code down here, it's just going to go away. You can't save it at all and reuse it later. So this is the way you want to do. You want to be in the workspace so you can save your work, look at it later, revise it later, whatever it may be. Now let's take a quick look at these two helper panes over here. So this top right helper pane has a lot of really helpful things. It'll show you the environment, and what it means by that is, okay, if I create a new variable down here, and we'll go over this later, a equals 1. So the variable a has the value of 1. So the environment, this tab helps you keep track of what variables you have floating around and what kind of things exist in your workspace. So I found it really, really helpful. And there's some other tools here, but we'll go over that later. In history, this is just some previous commands that I've run with some different projects that I've been running. So you can see what you have done. I don't use this a lot, but it's there. And finally, this last one, Git. Git. If you have never used GitHub or Git, it's pretty powerful. It's a version control. It's a way to control the versions, and we are going to go over that later. So you don't have to worry about this right now. You may not even see this right now. I doubt you do. If you just barely downloaded RStudio, then don't worry about this right now. But it's an available feature. So now let's look at this bottom right hand pane, this window, and see what it can do. So first of all, I am in a project called R Foundations. If you look up here, R Foundations is the name of my project, and this is the file structure within my project. And it's super helpful because you can open up any file that you want, and you can easily keep track of it here and know what's going on. So I really appreciate this. Plots, when you make let's say a bar graph, it's going to appear here, so you can see it in real time right as you develop it and you compile the code. It'll appear. Now, packages. Let's talk about packages for a second. So the packages are what we talked about way at the beginning. The fact that it's extensible. Packages extend the core competencies of R as a language. And this is really powerful. If you want to see all the packages that are available, we can go to the CRAN, which stands for the Comprehensive R Archive Network. So this is a great place because you can come in here and see the different packages that are available. I usually don't look at it through the web view because I'm usually working on a project, and the packages, common packages, are just right here, and you can see what is available. So for example, this package, datasets, the R datasets package, it's basically just saying that RStudio comes with pre-built-in packages for you to use, so you can really kind of just access some of these data sets and get started pretty quickly. And just some other tools, graphics, you can make graphs and grammar manipulation. This is a data manipulation tool. There are just tons and tons of packages that are available, and these are not all the packages available. Oftentimes, if you're working on a project and you need some type of functionality, you might have to go here and type in the name of the package, and it'll help try and complete it. And what you do is when you find one you want, you install it. And then it'll bring it, if you look at the bottom left down here, it's installing it, it's going through it, and it'll add it to this list. This list is basically the list of available packages to you right now. So as you can see, it was pretty quick. It just did it pretty seamlessly. And now we have it here, Excel Connect. And that's a package to connect to Excel worksheets and workbooks. So pretty useful stuff. This window will help you figure out if you've got a question of what something is, question mark dataset package. It'll show you, it'll help you understand what's going on here. So this is just a quick overview of this environment and what's going on. I have found it very helpful to use RStudio. And so now let's go ahead and look at how you can create a new project and just get started with something. And you may have already figured this out, but so if you go here, File, New Project, and I'm not going to save this. Start a new directory. And we're just going to stick with empty project. You don't want to, you can create your own package and make it available to other people. And this is a feature that we aren't going to cover right now. So we're going to create an empty project and give it a name. Test directory. And here I've already specified where I want it in my file structure in my personal machine. So you might have to, it might be wise to go in and create a new file where you can save all of your projects. I have found that really helpful. So we're going to go ahead and create the new project. RStudio will refresh, and again it'll come here, and as you can see at the bottom right, we have no files. It's just an empty project. So the way to add the file, as we have reviewed earlier, is to go here, and as there's lots of different types of files you can add, we're going to be focusing mainly on just R scripts and writing R code. So if we add this, we do File, Save, or you can use the shortcut, usually Control S or Command S, and test file. And as you can see, bottom right, it's added to your directory. So now you're good to go. You're ready to start coding and get into a project and learn the power of R. So in my next video, we're going to be going over how to integrate R with Git. As you can see, there is no Git tab like I had earlier. And we're also going to be going over the basics of R programming so you can actually start the project and do some simple data analysis.